Right, another video. This time's on the subframe. This wasn't planned at all, this one. This came up though, quite cheap. It's in good condition. This is the worst of it. On this side, it's just surface rust. There's nothing major. On the other side is really clean. So, yeah, it was cheap as well. Very cheap. So I thought I'd grab it and refurb it. So at the same time, I thought I'd point out a few of the problem areas with these things. So this is the rear subframe for the Mark III saloon and hatch, identical. So first of all, the sway bar goes across there. The brackets that hold the sway bar in, these, they can shear off. They shear off quite easily. And the reason they shear off, same with a lot of bolts, that's quite a long thread on there. And what happens is, when it's done up and it's sat in the back of the subframe, see if I can show you. There's a nut in there. I don't know if you can see it. Focus. Focus. You can just about see it. It's not really in focus, but yeah. The thread sits there and it gets corroded, and then you come along, you try and take that bolt out, and you're trying to drag all that shit, all that corrosion through that nut. It's only an 8mm bolt, and they're made of chocolate, and they end up shearing, and then you're left with the bolt stuck in the subframe. So show you a minute. Right, might be able to get a better look at that nut. There you go. So if you do encounter that, if you do find that the bolt shears, can't get it in and out, in or out, what I found is if you get a chisel on that nut, give it a sharp wallop, and that'll shear off, that'll break off, because there's just four, it's a square nut, and there's just 4 spot welds welded onto the underside of the subframe and inside the subframe. So then you drill that all out to a 10mm. You drill that hole out in the bracket, put a 10mm or a 17mm bolt, I should say. When I say 10mm, I mean the diameter of the bolt. So it's a 17mm head with a 10mm diameter thread. So if you drill both those holes out, that one there and that, you can put a 10mm bolt in and just about get a 17mm ring spanner on your new 17mm nut inside the frame to replace that one. So that's one problem. If you want to try and get it out, all you can do really is get in there with a wire brush and some penetrating fluid. I'll see if I can wind it in and see this, the thread shit now, but you can just see the bolt coming through, look. And if you can imagine, that thread's there just corroding over the years, and then you come along, all of a sudden you try and undo it, and it drags all that corrosion and shit through the nut. The end bolt shears off. If you're lucky, you'll get it out. Well, not so much lucky, but if you're careful, you can get a little wire brush in there, clean that thread up as much as you possibly can, penetrating fluid, and hopefully it'll come out for you. If not, do what I said a minute ago, shear that nut off with a chisel and a hammer. So that's that. These bolts here that hold the arms on, so I've taken all these off obviously, but the bolts that hold the arms on, I'm doing a bit of rust treatment at the moment. So these are the, I think they're called concentric, they're off center, look, so they give you the adjustment. Is those, they're actually quite expensive, those, because they got a funny shaped washer on them, look. You've got those, and you've got a standard bolt. That's a standard round bolt. they all get quite heavily corroded, which makes it difficult to get out. So same applies, just clean the threads up much as you possibly can. And I struggled, I gotta be honest. I didn't want to do a video of me undoing rusty bolts, it's just boring. But at the same time, I want to point out the issues with these things. So then we're on to the bushes. I've already got 2 of these out. I've got a bush removal tool, and these didn't come out too bad, but basically, again, you need to do as much as you possibly can to give yourself the best fighting chance of getting them out. And I found the thing to do, so this is the other side of the subframe, as you can see, is quite nice and tidy. So all around this edge here, so there's the metal cup for the bush. Clean all that crap out from in there. Put penetrating fluid in, leave it, soak it overnight. Equally, again, on the inside of the subframe, don't know if you can see, there's the outer housing of the bush. There's a metal cup, if you like, sleeve. There's some there that I've taken out from a previous subframe. That's without the rubber centers. I've taken the rubber centers out. You can drill them with hole saws, set fire to them. Yeah, so go round. I got a pick. I don't know if you can see that edge. That edge is the actual subframe itself. So I got a pick around that edge, put penetrating fluid round, soaked it. Like I say, soak that there as well. You can get a pick and go round those edges as well, the bushes, where the bush meets the subframe. But to be honest with you, that's such a tight gap in there, I don't think you're really going to get a lot of penetrating fluid in there, to be honest. So yeah. Let me have a go. I'll set up the tool and I'll bring you back in a sec. Right, so this is the tool. That sits over the bush. So that sits on the frame. So that's slightly wider than the bush. Then this sits on the outer, that sits on the metal cup, if you like, metal housing of the bush. So once you got that in place, over the bush. Make sure you've got it all lined up nice. It's not difficult, to be honest, lining it up. It's quite easy to use this tool, really, to be honest. The trick is taking your time and making sure you don't damage that subframe. Keep checking your progress, because what you find, if you're not careful, where that cup's sitting there, just on the inside edge of that cup, you can actually bend the frame a little bit. So you've got like a raised bit around the edge of the cup. Yeah, so as soon as you see a bit of separation, as soon as you see that little gap appear around there, I would say fire a bit of penetrating fluid in just to help yourself out, and carry on. There you go. So that's one side gone, that's one lip of the subframe if you like. And I would say it's the back edge that's just gone. Yeah, it might be that top edge. The gap's definitely opened up. I know it seems a bit long-winded taking it off all the time, putting it back on again, but it does pay. If you want a nice subframe that ain't damaged, it's not bent at all. It's getting easier now, so. That should be it. Hopefully. It's not bent. That's not bad. I'm quite happy with that. So there you go. Yeah, another quick tip. So these bushes, for some reason, I don't really understand why, but these are different. So the one I just took out, it's got two straight edges on it. I make the edges go straight. I just noticed from doing it. Those edges are in line with the length of the frame. This one here, for some reason, has got like a right angle on it. So I've done this previously before in the past. This is going to come off because it's going to be sandblasted and powder coated, this one. But take a photo before you take these out. Well, any of them actually. Just so you've got a reference to how to go back in again, because they should go back in the same way. Don't ask me why. I'm not sure myself, but I've never really looked into it. But yeah, just if you're going to put these standard bushes back in, they should go in the same way. So the same bush in the same hole in the same orientation. So yeah, it's just another little thing to be aware of. Let's get this last one out. So when it goes real tight like that, when it goes really tight like that, that's when you're in danger of bending the subframe with the cup with this part. So I just like to check any progress to make sure I'm not. If I am, I'll stop. Yeah, so I got separation there though. I don't know if you can see that gap. There's a gap there now. Looks like he's coming out all right. In fact, making sure it's all lined up all right. This bottom part is sat square on the bush housing, the metal bush housing. That is nice and square, sat on the subframe. And now, because I can see that separation, that gap appeared, I feel a little bit more confident to really give it some. Still hanging in there. That's it. There you go. That's all 4 bushes out now. That can be sent off for powder coating now. I'm happy with that.